So what's the joke in the Indian version?
Dr. Asha Unnikrishnan MBBS.
Whoa, oh, on who's what? Whoa, all I heard all Snickers. Hey guys, before the video continues, if you're new here or been here for a while, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the like button to help support me in future videos.
I just wanna cut loose, snip, good job. I can be my own boss. Oh God, just cut my own check, make my own bread. Taking from the pack, cause my rollie fully dead. Oh God.
Man, I saw the title of this video and immediately favorited, and I'm like, I am reacting to this today. And what am I reacting to? I'm gonna change tabs. I'm gonna get brighter. This is why I have this tab closed, but prepare to get flashbanged. That's not that bad. I'm looking at something that's flashbangable. Flashbang. Actually, I look more better. Like I should have kept it up. I'd actually look more crispier. Anyways, this one is the time Disney Channel remade shows for India. Come on. You guys are here because you like the Goons content. Indian Disney. This is the easiest video I have ever favorited. So let's just get into the time Disney Channel remade shows for India.
Good Luck Charlie, Best of Luck Nikki. I was having my dedicated IG real time for the day, and I saw this clip of a show that looked like Good Luck Charlie, but there was something different about it. It had this side-by-side, shot-by-shot comparison of the show's intros, and they were like the exact same. I legitimately thought this was an AI recreation, but I looked into it more and it was actually...
Bro, India is just IRL AI. That just hurt my head trying to say that. I think I had a stroke midway of saying India IRL, and I can't say it. India IRL AI. I think that's the first time I've ever been said. India is just IRL AI. There you go.
Actually real. If you grew up in the Americas watching Disney Channel in the 2010s, you probably have a
I was poor.
pretty specific set of shows burned into your memory. You got Good Luck Charlie, you got The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, you got Shake It Up, Jesse, maybe even That's So Raven. If
that was Shake It Up and everything was after my time. I was already somewhere deep into high school. I stopped watching Disney Channel maybe 7th, 8th grade. That will be 2010, 2009. Yeah, 2009. I entered high school in 2011. Around 2009, 2010 is when I stopped watching Disney, and when I went more poor and my mom had to give up cable. But That's So Raven, yes.
If you go back a few more years, if you did not grow up in a country where the primary language is English, you might still know these shows and characters. Most countries just dubbed over the English version and then shipped them off, just like any other show, but not for India. Somewhere around 2011, on the complete other side.
Oh my goodness, the sweet life of Zach and Bencho. Oh my god, Mr. Modeep. What the hell be Esteban's? What's the long end? Okay, I'm not even look it up. Muhammad, I don't know. I'm gonna Arabic now.
Of the world, Disney was doing something different. They took those exact shows, the whole thing, and rebuilt them from scratch in Hindi with Indian casts, Indian writers, Indian sets, name swaps, city swaps.
So they had they actually had a Sweet Life of the Raj Mahal. I gotta watch Zack and Cody's Indian version.
Joke swaps, translated theme songs. You gotta hear these translated theme songs. But all that being said, it was basically the exact same show, script for script, story beat for story beat, every single episode. Good Luck Charlie became Best of Luck Nikki. The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody became The Sweet Life of
Karana Kabir, really? That is haram. That is haram. And that's supposed to be Esteban? Or S the Deep? S Muhammad. S Muhammad.
Karen and Kabir. Shake It Up became Shake It Up India. Jesse became Oi Jassy. And That's So Raven became
Palak Page Halak.
Yeah, listen, there's gonna be a few times I do that in this video. These were serious operations, not just some cheap ripoffs. Best of Luck Nikki ran for 5 years, 103 episodes plus specials. That's actually longer than Good Luck Charlie itself ran in the US. But if you're an American viewer, there's an extremely good chance you've never heard of any of these shows. So obviously, what does a guy like me do when I find out this information? I make a YouTube video essay about it. Come on, like what else is there to do, man?
Amen.
Listen, shout out to India. If you grew up in India, this video is probably completely useless to you. But if you grew
Ain't nobody who grew up in India watching this video. I mean, they have T-series now. Never mind. But no, they're too busy listening to T-series in Bollywood. They ain't watching videos on YouTube.
up not in India, then
I know the CEO is Indian. Never mind. I retract my statements.
this is like an alternate universe you've never heard of. Before we get into the video, I don't want to be cheesy, but if you like the video, then please subscribe. Please hit me with that massive like, come on, we all know. Okay, I want to go through all these Hindi versions one by one and talk about all the regional and cultural differences eventually, but before I do that, I want to answer the question, why? Why go through the trouble and the expense of remaking an entire show from the ground up when you could just dub it? Well, Disney Channel India did just dub shows back in 2004 when it launched, but very quickly they wanted to change their strategy. I mean, unlike many countries that English is not the primary language of, India has like 1 billion people, so it seemed like a lazy dub might just not cut it if you're trying to maximize service and enjoyment for that many people. Just like in America, they specifically pointed to live action as a way to connect with tweens, kids aged 10 to 14, who were starting to age out of animation but weren't ready.
You never age out of animation. Anime is forever. May age out of not even cartoons. Fuck that. I watch Adventure Time. I watch Gumball. I watch Teen Titans. Not the Go version because I'm not a fucking autistic, brain rot, TikTok, bottom feeder kid that needs all these, brain stimuli. I watch Teen Titans because it actually has a story and it actually has dark themes to it and actually good
For adult programming. Dubbing has a ceiling. No matter how good your voice actors are, a dubbed American show still feels American. Wait, what the f? This has to be racist, bro. This is China Anne McClain dressing up as Hatsune Miku. I do not remember this happen. What the hell? The houses look American. The schools look American. The family dynamics feel American. A kid in Delhi watching Good Luck Charlie will still be watching a family in Denver doing Denver, Colorado things. When you're trying to make a cultural phenomenon like the Disney Channel for 1 billion people on the other side of the world, I don't know, man, watching a white boy in Denver when you're pretty far from being a white boy in Denver probably just wouldn't hit as hard. The dominant format on Indian television at the time was the
Saas Bahu.
drama, mother-in-law and daughter-in-law relationship stories that ran for hundreds of episodes. Look, I don't have any personal experiences of this, obviously, but from what I know, these mother-in-law versus daughter-in-law drama odysseys used to get a little boring for the kids from time to time. My source for that is Just Rain, which I think is valid.
I heard of him.
Not for sale.
So Disney wanted to crack that co-viewing audience. What? Oh my. So Disney wanted to service that co-viewing audience with something completely different. And a dubbed import just couldn't do all that. But a locally produced show, an Indian family in Delhi speaking Hindi, this got the whole living room watching. That's like great for advertising. You get a whole family watching a show, you can advertise it, literally anything. So around 2014 and 2015, Disney India launched a campaign with a name that I will get Google Translate to say for me,
शनिवार रविवार only for परिवार,
which means Saturday, Sunday only for the family. So here's what they did for the 5 shows. Number 1, keep the format engine, but give the world a makeover. Every remake preserves the same character archetypes, the same sitcom rhythm, the same episodic moral structure, the same multi-camera studio format. What changes is everything around that engine. The names, the cultural references, holidays, money. Some of the American jokes switch to make more sense for someone who grew up in India, obviously. The family gets even more chaotic. Listen, man, that's just what I'm told, okay? The increased family chaos within the
Yeah.
Indian version was very intentional. Number 2, the city swaps. Denver becomes Delhi. San Francisco becomes Delhi. Boston becomes Mumbai. Chicago becomes Mumbai. New York becomes Mumbai. I feel like maybe they could have varied it a bit more, but I don't know. I don't know geography.
And is there anything outside of New Delhi and Mumbai? I don't really know much of India other than Mumbai and New Delhi. I'm just racist, I guess. Yeah, true. I think I am just racist.
Be like that. So number 3, Indian family texture. This is where the remakes get genuinely interesting. The American shows have what you might call generic sitcom families, broadly middle class, generally suburban, culturally unspecific. The Indian versions add the real cultural coding. Best of Luck Nikki's family isn't just a family in Delhi, they're a Punjabi family in Delhi. That means something specific. It carries specific comedy beats, specific family dynamics, and specific speech patterns. Jassy from Oi Jassy, her wealthy employers aren't just rich, they're Bollywood-style celebrity parents. And then there are the neighborhood dynamics. American sitcoms occasionally have a nosy neighbor. Indian sitcoms have the aunties. The auntie character, the neighborhood woman who's always in everyone's business, always has an opinion, always shows up uninvited. It's a fixture of Indian domestic comedy. Okay, so we got all that out of the way. Let's finally go through the individual show differences. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go through all 5 of the shows and talk about the general regional changes for them. Then we're gonna go through the entire first episode of season 1, episode 1, the pilot episode of Good Luck Charlie and Best of Luck Nikki to see shot for shot, bar for bar, how the story of a single episode would change and be altered from English to Hindi. Anyways, I'm gonna start with Jesse and Oi Jassy because there's one burning question that has been on my mind since the beginning of this video, and maybe it's been on your mind too. Is Ravi still Indian in the show? Or did they switch him to a white boy? Like, I don't know. Who knows? Oi Jassy premiered October 13th, 2013, ran for 26 episodes, and ended in April 2014. If you need a refresher, Jessie in the American version is a small-town girl from a Texas military base who moves to New York City to pursue her dreams and stumbles into a nanny job for the Ross family. They are a wealthy couple with 4 adopted kids, a butler, a large pet lizard named Mr. Kipling. Actually, wait, isn't it Mrs. Kipling? And then it was...
So they have a pet iguana. Is the Indian one gonna be like a cow? If it's a cow, I'm gonna walk away. I swear, if I see they have a pet cow, I'm walking the fuck away.
Mr. Kipling, and then it became Mrs. Kipling because there was like an episode. Wasn't there an episode where they found out they were like the lizard had babies or something, and they were like, oh my god, it's been a girl the whole time? I don't know. Anyways, the Indian version, Jassy, is from Karnal, a small city. This is a PNG car, by the way. The other version had a real car against a green screen, but this one is a PNG car against just a video. And she moves to Mumbai, the city of dreams. She then becomes a nanny to the Malhotra family, which, like I said earlier, is not a generic rich family. They're a Bollywood couple. The butler Bertram becomes Tony, and the 4 kids all get new names and slightly adjusted backstories. Okay, so in the American Jesse, one of the children is Ravi. He is adopted from India. He's an Indian kid living with a wealthy American family in New York, and his heritage is a recurring character element.
It's like eating hot curry. I love it, but I always get burned in the end.
Okay, all right, okay. Obviously, that origin story doesn't really hit the same if you are in an Indian remake and live in India and everybody's Indian. So the Indian version shifts the adopted child's background to Sri Lanka instead. So he's still adopted from another country. That country just isn't India, because that like wouldn't really make much sense in the Jesse lore. I actually just noticed this while editing, but this lizard scene, you can see that all of the shots of Mr. Kipling are just reused from Jesse, but like it's weirdly cut in, and it's kind of color graded so that it looks a little closer to the scene that they're in. But you can see the right here, the green tube like is totally different when Jassy is climbing through it versus when Mr. Kipling is climbing through it. Other than that, not much changed. Like I said, basically all of the episodes follow relatively the same stories and conflicts, just made to be Indian-ified. Can I say that? The The Sweet Life of Karen and Kabir was also a very faithful adaptation. It premiered April 8th, 2012. It ran for 50 episodes across 2 seasons, and it wrapped in August 2013. This is one of the shows where you can actually sit down with the episode list side by side and match the Indian episodes to specific American episodes beat for beat. The Boston Tipton Hotel becomes the Mumbai Raj Mahal Hotel, which at first I thought was kind of a cheesy joke. Obviously it sounds like Taj Mahal, but then just Googled it and apparently Mahal means palace, so like it still makes sense. It's not a complete meme. Zach and Cody become Karen and Kabir, twin brothers living in the hotel where their mom works. This time though, IRL, they are not twins, which that sucks. That's like the whole shtick. The strict hotel manager, Mr. Mosby, becomes Mr. Mon Singh. The candy counter girl,
Mon Singh,
Maddie, becomes Vinny. The spoiled heiress, London Tipton, becomes Rani.
I'm sorry I'm pausing some. I want to see these scenes in Indian. The fum, the am, prindle, at the prindle. You want to hit the prindle? What are you talking about, prindle? It's not called the brindle. You talking about the M or the fum?
Oberoi, which now Raj Mahal doesn't really make any sense because in the English version, the hotel is called the Tipton, you know, named after like London Tipton's family. But the Indian version, it's not called the Oberoi. So I'm thinking Raj Mahal was kind of a meme, but also Raj means king. So technically it's the king's palace, which still makes sense. So I don't know. Is it just, were they trying to do a little Taj Mahal thing, Raj Mahal thing, or like somebody explain this to me, please. If you were to take a look at some of these specific episodes, we can see just how similar storylines actually work. So just small changes, but hold on. Just like the Ravi anomaly in Jesse, there's one thing that I really needed to know in the Sweet Life of Karen and Kabir.
They have
This time
Esteban?
it wasn't a character, it was a specific joke. And you might know this joke, very famous, very important joke, a very important story beat in the Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. I'm talking about the Prindle. In the Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, London Tipton is taking a driving lesson from Mr. Mosby. Mr. Mosby asks,
Are you familiar with the gear shift?
You mean the Prindle?
Are you referring to the shift lever that says PRNDL?
That's a child's Mosby. I know how to spell Prindle.
classic. Everybody my age, once in their life, has called the gear selector the Prindle. Now, how do they do it in India? Does it translate well? Listen, I'll just play it. If you don't know Hindi, that's okay. You'll still get the point. Trust me.
रानी तुम्हें गियर बदलना तो आता है ना?
आपका मतलब R135246?
रानी ये तुमने किसने सिखाया?
इसने?
Oh no, because they're manual. It doesn't hit the same.
Bro, that just doesn't hit the same.
Bro, Jinx, you eat my ass. I mean, Jinx, you owe me your soda. I'm upset.
You can't make the joke driving standard. Even a guy who drives manual isn't gonna find that funny. Also, can someone tell me like how much English Hindi speakers use on a regular basis? Why did she say R135246 instead of
1, 3, 5, 2, 4, 6?
When do you decide to switch to English? I think it's interesting. I notice it. They also don't do the am or fum joke after that.
Turn on the radio. Would you like am or film?
I will say though that this guy has Mr. Mosby down to a T.
रानी R का मतलब है रिवर्स और 135 नहीं होता 1 2 3 4 5 हो तो हमारा 9 तो 11 हो जाएगा.
This guy's a legend. Shake It Up India changed a lot, and honestly, it's the most fascinating from a cultural adaptation perspective, in my opinion. It premiered on March 30th, 2013, and ran through November of the same year, and was the shortest lived of the main remakes. Shake It Up Chicago becomes Shake It Up Mumbai, the same dance show within a show premise. The same structure of two best friends trying to make it as dancers. But you might have noticed it's two dudes. In the American version, there's Cece Jones and Rocky Blue. Yo, what the it just hit me that that's Zendaya. Like, I knew knew it was Zendaya, but that's like the Spider-Man, like the Dune, like that's Zendaya, but she's like in Shake It Up. And then there's Bella Thorne. Anyways, two girls in the American version.
Thorne?
In the Indian version, they are two boys, Niladri and Yash Paul. Everything else is the same. Like I said, same dance show premise, same character archetypes mapped onto the new characters, same episode progression from audition to first paycheck to dance marathon, but it's just with dudes. So I looked into why they did this, and again, I don't know the ins and outs of everything, but the most likely explanation is how they wanted to position themselves in the show market. Indian dance culture on television shows skewed heavily towards mixed or male-fronted competition.
This is footage of an Indian dance show. I think I'm gonna blur because the last thing I want to do is get copyright strike for a major
Shows.
True.
Boy dancers pursuing fame on a TV show may have felt like a more natural fit for the target audience than girl dancers, at least in the eyes of Disney India and the programming team. I don't know, again, somebody tell me if that sounds right. One thing I want to note is that the dancing in the Indian version is like way better than the American version. I always thought that the dancing in the American version was so bad, even as a kid. Everything else though, pretty similar. Also, the girl who played Tinka, Gunter and Tinka is now the deputy communications director for the president. So
interesting.
Just so you know. The last of the remakes, the shortest lived, it premiered September 27th, 2015, ran just 21 episodes, and wrapped by December 9th of the same year. Just 2.5 months. Now, I never watched That's So Raven. I don't think I've seen a single episode. I was a little too young for it, but like I know the premise, and I read the wiki, so hopefully that's enough. That's So Raven is built around a teenage girl who has psychic visions, misinterprets them, and creates chaos, trying to prevent or manipulate what she thinks she saw. I mean, like, I know that. The Indian version takes the same engine and renames the vision mechanic,
Bhavishyavani,
which roughly translates to prophecy or foresight, and sets the whole thing in a Delhi family context. The show's launch materials explicitly cited Indian family sensibilities, and positioned it as a show conceptualized and recreated keeping in mind the Indian family. By this point in late 2015, Disney India had been running this for a while, so everybody kind of knew the shtick. But 21 episodes was all it got. It was the last new remake that Disney India would produce. But we still haven't talked about the first remake that they produced. This was the big one. It was the flagship. It was the one that proved that this whole concept of rejigging the shows could work in the first place.
Okay.
Best of Luck Nikki premiered April 3rd, 2011, and didn't end until April 16th, 2016. 5 years on the air. 103 episodes plus 6 specials across 4 seasons. For context, Good Luck Charlie in the US ran for 4 seasons too, but only 98 episodes. The Indian version actually outlasted the original. The Duncan family in Denver becomes the Singh family in Delhi. Teddy Duncan, the teenage sister who records the video diaries for baby Charlie, becomes Dolly Singh, recording video diaries for baby Nikki. Bob Duncan, the dad who is an exterminator, becomes Avatar Singh. Avatar. Holy
water, fire, air, earth. Oh my god.
Fire. That is crazy. He runs an electrical services business. The mom, Amy,
the
nurse who goes back to work, becomes Himani. The older brother, PJ, becomes Rohan. The younger son, Gabe, becomes Sunny. The video diary device survives the transition completely intact, obviously. I mean, it's a very important narrative engine. What changes are the small details of their daily life. The neighbor dynamics are built around the auntie character instead of Mrs. Dabney. School life reflects Indian education culture rather than American. Money is rupees. Cultural references are, of course, Indian cultural references, and so on and so on. There is one interesting absence worth noting. It's small, but it's interesting. I didn't even remember this until doing the research for this video, but a 2014 episode of Good Luck Charlie featured a lesbian couple. Oh my god. I do actually actually remember seeing like a news posting or two about it. Charlie was meant to have a play date, and Bob and Amy argued over what the name of Charlie's friend's mom was. They had two different names in mind, only to find out that there were two moms. It was a quick joke, and honestly, it was pretty funny. Now I combed through and I was able to find that same episode of Best of Luck Nikki in the archives. I can't tell you where I found it, but but that same episode, Down a Tree. I looked through the episode, I scrubbed through it, and I can't find the scene with the two moms. Look, it might be in there somewhere. Sometimes the Indian episode adaptations aren't listed correctly. A lot of them are lost, and I can't understand what they're saying, obviously. But the Good Luck Charlie episode, Down a Tree, is the second last episode in the whole series. The Best of Luck Nikki episode, The Treehouse Mystery, is also the second last episode in the whole series. I scrubbed through it. No two mom scene in there. That's all I'm gonna say. Other than that, episode for episode, pretty similar. And to show you just how similar, I wanted to slow down here and compare the pilot episodes of Good Luck Charlie and Best of Luck Nikki scene by scene. Both episodes share the same title, study date. The reason I'm doing this one in particular is because, well, it was the first episode of this whole Disney India recreation thing. But more importantly, it had the transcript on YouTube, which then I took and I translated it, and none of the other Indian adaptations had freaking transcripts. I mean, none of the other Indian episodes, like a lot of these shows are like lost to time, the Indian versions. So let's see just how similar these things are. Right off the bat, I set up a file that had both shows playing side by side, and it's kind of insane how similar they are. I mean, obviously I just spent the whole freaking video talking about that, but it's like legit shot for shot. One thing to note is that the Indian version is quite a lot longer than the English version. It seems like they just take way longer to get through lines. I'm not exactly sure if it just takes longer to say things in Hindi or if they're going into even more detail, but by the time Teddy has done her intro video diary in the English version, Dolly is still talking to Gabe, or Sonny. Anyways, yeah, the US episode opens with Teddy recording a video diary for baby Charlie. She's essentially explaining, here's our family, here's how we work, and here's some survival advice. The Indian episode opens the same way. Dolly recording a video diary for baby Nikki, explaining pretty much the same thing. In the video diary, Charlie doesn't want to eat, although I will say that in the American version, they got really lucky with the baby's acting. It's like perfectly timed.
Looks like Dad taught you how to eat bananas.
In the Indian version, Nikki is just kind of sitting there. Mom is tired, although less messy in the Indian version. Dad, Bob, is an exterminator who's kind of like a bumbling idiot type of guy, but he really plays up his job. Dad, Avatar, runs the electrical business and is proud in the same way, just a little more theatrical with it. The inciting incident is identical. Mom is going back to work as a nurse at the hospital, which means that everybody needs to stay home and help with the baby. Teddy has a study date planned with a boy named Spencer at the library. Dolly has a study date planned with a boy named Ritesh. In both versions, the date gets moved from the library to the house because the teen has to help with the baby. PJ makes fun of Teddy by doing a kissy noise. Spencer. And Teddy says,
Oh, save it for your pillow.
Rohan makes fun of her, but no kissing, okay? And he instead just dances with the pillow. Then the theme song. Oh my, like this is insane. You gotta hear this. I mean, the graphics for the theme song, obviously the exact same.
Yeah.
And the song itself, I mean, it's the exact same thing. It's just in Hindi. It's crazy. Mom leaves detailed baby instructions because she doesn't trust Dad. Dad insists that he knows everything about his kids and can handle the baby. In the US version, Bob's overconfidence plays as the classic well-meaning but fundamentally incompetent, clumsy, or just out of his depth when it comes to domestic responsibilities. In the Indian version, Avatar's overconfidence plays as the big personality dad bravado. It's a little louder, it's more dramatic, it's more physically comedic. They still both try to lick their armpits. The boy arrives at the house. The date is now happening in the middle of a family night in. In the American version, Bob is skeptical, but not really about the fact that there's a boy over. He's more cautious about the fact that Teddy didn't tell her mom that this was happening, and she was supposed to help with the baby. But the Indian version adds something interesting. Avatar is like way more uncomfortable with the fact that his daughter is having a boy over. Avatar interrogates Ritesh more directly, more intensely, which, you know, I mean, I'm sure fits the Indian father-daughter boyfriend stereotype. Bob shows Spencer his giant bug statue and talks about the business. Avatar talks to Dolly and Ritesh for way longer, and from what I can gather, tells them he's got his eye on them. The romance feels way more chaperoned, more supervised. Also, I'm not sure if this is supposed to be a joke, but In both versions, the boy comes over to study biology. In the American version, it's just kind of matter of fact. In the Indian version, Avatar seems a little more skeptical about the fact that they're studying biology.
तो हमें biology पढ़नी है.
अच्छा, biology?
I don't know if that's supposed to be a studying the human body, each other's bodies type of joke. Funny joke from Gabe, by the way. Shout out to Gabe.
Gabe, out. Okay, fine. But when's that hot guy getting here? Out!
Shout out to Sunny too, he does the same thing. There's like way more talking between Dolly and Ritesh. The American version is just a quick little flirt and then they get interrupted. The Indian version literally, I looked at the transcript and I looked at the translation. Ritesh is like confessing his love to Dolly. What I got from my translated transcript was Ritesh saying something like, actually, I wanted to say something. When I think about you, I see the moon and the stars. But then they also get interrupted. We see PJ and Emmett practicing for their band PJ and the Vibe. Kind of diss that Emmett is the Vibe instead of his actual name. Like, what the hell, PJ? Anyways, Teddy says she's gonna stick a 1/4-inch plug into PJ's ass if they don't stop bothering her.
About to come down here again? This gets plugged in somewhere else.
Emmett has a crush on Teddy and becomes like an incel.
Can't believe she's cheating on me.
She barely knows you exist.
No, see, our relationship is just developing slowly.
No, there is no relationship.
Yes, there
No,
is.
there's not. It's all in your head.
No, it's not, because even my mom knows about it.
Like, chill, bro. Like, chill. Basically, the same thing happens in the Indian version. Then the famous climax of the episode. Dad falls down the stairs while holding the baby. In the American version, Bob slips on a rubber duck. Damn, he is bouncing on it. What how did they even do that? Like, is that just him? Like, is he just handling that? Also, in this slow-mo montage, there's a clip of Gabe eating a sandwich in slow motion, and I remember as a kid, I found that really funny. In the Indian version, Avatar does the exact same thing and falls down the stairs. PJ then has to take his dad to the hospital to check out his broken ass.
Wow, my butt is on fire.
Last week, Emmett and I wrote a song with that exact same title.
That's great, son. Just please don't sing.
My butt is on fire! It's the size of a tire! Stop it!
Same thing with Rohan and Avatar. The problem is, they go to the hospital and mom works at the hospital. They're supposed to be home watching the baby. Dad needs something to make his ass pain go away, but insists that PJ not call the nurse because, well, his mom's the nurse. I guess there's only one nurse in this hospital. So PJ's idea is to put on a doctor's outfit and go get some medicine himself. I guess he could just like go, like he could just go walk around and get medicine. Is that American hospitals? Is that how it works? He sees mom when he opens literally the first door he's ever opened and stumbles into another patient's bed. PJ still pretends to be the doctor, but...
You the doctor?
I am Dr. Chandra Suliwan.
Okay, so the joke in the American version is that he has an Indian name and it's obviously not him. So what's the joke in the Indian version?
Dr. Asha Unnikrishnan, MBBS.
Whoa, oh, on all who? All who's what? Whoa, all I heard all Snickers.
So what's the joke in the Indian version?
Dr. Asha Unnikrishnan.
I don't like that.
MBBS.
Okay, so he's still Indian in the Indian version. Anyways, Teddy is still at home with Charlie. Charlie takes a shit on her. Gabe breaks into the house of the neighbor Miss Dabney because nobody goddamn fed the kid, and he's literally scrounging for scraps, sneaking into houses and eating other people's food. All of this is the same in the Indian version as well. And both Dolly and Teddy get thrown up on. Man, Teddy's just getting everything, bro. Shit and throw up, man. Mom finds out that Dad and PJ are at the hospital. They have a heartfelt talk about the new baby and how it's stressful and all that. All the same. Bob and PJ go back to the house. Bob is high on ass medication and kisses Teddy's man goodbye because he thinks it's Teddy. Avatar does the same thing to Ritesh. Teddy and Spencer almost kiss goodbye. Ritesh walks out the door completely terrified. And the endpoint is the same in both versions. The older sister's teenage life is completely swallowed by the family responsibility. She wanted one normal evening with a boy, and the family made that impossible. So pretty much the same show through and through. The last major remake ended on April 16th, 2016. The Best of Luck Nikki finale. After that, nothing. No new Indian remakes of American Disney sitcoms had been produced since then. There was no dramatic failure, no
Is there any
public cancellation
current Disney
announcement.
show?
Disney was actually very proud of these shows. So why'd they stop? Basically just boring corporate strategy stuff. First of all, Disney India was already shifting its programming priorities. The family weekend strategy that justified making these remakes was evolving. Disney wasn't abandoning family content, but the specific format, multi-camera studio sitcom remakes of American properties, was no longer the primary vehicle. Second was that the distribution landscape was changing. Around 2015, Disney India and India Cast, their distribution partner, was likely to end their deal. Third, and this is the big one, the streaming shift was coming. Disney was obviously paying more money to make these shows completely new instead of just dubbing them, but they decided to spend that money more on just streaming, like Disney Plus and stuff like that. Building more and more shows on linear TV with expensive studios and sitcom production just didn't really fit anymore when you could just put everything on streaming and make a bunch of money. So that's it. 5 shows, 5 full-blown, locally grown Hindi language remakes of American Disney Channel icons. I think it's just crazy how I never knew any of this before like a few days ago. Did anyone else know about this? Am I stupid? Like, am I
I know I kind of heard about it. Like I heard, I guess the guys talked about it before. The guys referencing is obviously the Goons. I didn't really think that was true. I think that there's like, oh, they should make an Indian version.
Full transparency, I am Canadian. I grew up watching the Family Channel, which was basically just the Disney Channel. I don't know why they called it something different, but there were different commercials and features in between shows. Did Disney Channel in the US ever mention Disney Channel India? Did they ever do like little featurettes in between shows? So they could be like, did you know Good Luck Charlie has a remake in India? I feel like it's weird that I literally never heard of this until now. Obviously, I knew dubs of shows existed, like duh, but this is way more interesting. Anyways, subscribe, please do it. Please.
Amen. Please also subscribe to me. This was interesting. Very interesting. I did not know this existed. Oh, yeah. To a certain extent. My brain kind of knew that. I thought it was, I don't know, I thought it was just like memes. Like I saw like pictures of like those shows on Instagram back in the days, whatever. I just thought it was just people making memes out of the racist memes. Usually the best memes. But I just brushed them off. I didn't actually know that Disney legitly made Indian variations, but it makes a lot of sense. 1.5 billion people, one country. That's money. It's like when T-Series hopped on YouTube and they beat PewDiePie so rapidly because 1.5 billion people subscribing to a channel to make it to 100 million subscribers. It's not unheard of. 1.5 billion people. So it's understandable. If there's any other type of content you want me to react to that's kind of in this wheelhouse, let me know in the comment section or join my Discord. There's a section called React Submissions. I'll look through them, add things to my playlist, and go from the point on. But as always, guys, I love your faces. Peace.